Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Wednesday show. If everybody's counting, the show numbers have been kind of wonky lately. I don't know if anybody's noticed, but today's show number is 1798. Yesterday's show number was 1801. Yeah. I don't know how it got out of order, but it got out of order. We tried to fix it, and what we did is made it worse. So, oopsie. We'll get it straight in a couple of days because someone's going to have to start with 1802 tomorrow. I guess that'd be Johnny. Johnny, who's in chat right now. Johnny, your next show is going to be 1799. And then the next show after that's going to be 1802 because we have to skip 1800 and 1801.
Because we already had them.
It's trying to keep track of this stuff is driving me crazy. Anyway, speaking of chat, I'll get to our introductions. But speaking of chat, I wanted to say hi to Kiradam and Johnny, and I guess we'll have a lot of other people rolling in later. Tyrannus Alexandrius, Camira Leach.
Just call him T. That's what Johnny refers to him as in his chat.
T? Okay.
T.
All right. But yeah, we'll get the numbers straightened out, so give us a chance and we'll take care of that. OG Cosson, welcome to chat. Joining me this evening, as always, my two favorite co-hosts, Terry DeMantis.
Hello.
And Jen T. Maxey.
Hello.
Now, before the show started, I said we had topics for tonight, but I don't really think any of them are that great, except for maybe the G4 topic. Terry was interested in that. The whole thing with Wisconsin and November, that's all political stuff, American political, what's happening in Wisconsin for the primaries. And I was watching, just don't hate me when I say this. I was watching Philly D today, and he brought up a point that he thinks the Democrats should be pushing the abortion issue. And then later on in the show, he put up a chart and it showed abortion as being the 8th most popular thing to talk about. So it's kind of like, wait a minute, you just said that they should be talking about abortion, yet abortion is one of the things that we don't really care about. I mean, you just contradicted yourself. Anyway, that's typical dealing with Philly D anyway. But we will get to that if we have time. But I think G4 is probably the funniest thing that's happened lately.
Absolutely.
You're aware of everything that happened with that, right?
I don't know, because you said Adam Sessler attacked Melanie Mack. I don't know about that part of it, but I do know the basic story of G4 and it's falling apart.
Her name's Froskurn? Is that how it's pronounced? Like Frosk?
Something like that.
Urine?
Pretty much.
I didn't know Frosks peed, but apparently Frosks have urine. So yeah, her name is Indiana Black. I think that's her real name. It is. It's not. I'm not doxing her. That's like a known thing. But but quite the woke personality. As G4 started their brand on YouTube and Twitch, she decided to insult the audience, and she basically told people, if you don't like it, don't watch. And the director, I can't remember his name, but he backed her up. And he said, yeah, what she's saying is right. If you don't like it, don't watch. Well, people listened and didn't watch. So they started firing staff left and right. And usually when you fire somebody because you're having problems with your company, you cut enough to do it on a one-shot deal. You just go, whomp. All right, now we're fine. Yeah. But G4, bad management, cut 10, then cut another 5, then cut 15, then cut another 8. You know, and so it was a constant attrition of people from their staff, and everybody was kind of looking around waiting for the next set of layoffs, which brought the entire company morale down significantly. And then Sessler went off and insulted people too. He's one of the people from the original G4, somebody who wasn't really particularly that involved in the original G4. I would say Kevin Piera was much more involved, Olivia Munn, those people. But he was kind of off to the side, doing special projects and that kind of stuff.
I approve of anything and everything with Olivia Munn in it, just so I can look it up.
Yeah, she's a. Well, we could talk about Olivia. She's caught my eye too. But so what happened was Melanie Mack, who is a YouTuber and content creator, kind of a centrist like me, maybe a little bit more vocal about her feelings about woke politics and such, but a Christian, not afraid to talk about her faith. And she said of the whole situation with G4, so something I thought was fairly innocent. She basically said, you know, just because one person ruined the pie doesn't mean these people aren't talented. Hopefully they all land on their feet. It was a positive message. And Sessa came back with the quote from what's his name? The guy at the Oscars. What's his name? The guy.
Which one?
Keep my wife's name out of your fucking mouth.
Will Smith.
Will Smith, yeah. Sessler tweeted to her, "Keep our names out of your mouth." And it was exactly the same phrase. And really laid into Melanie. If you've ever seen Melanie, she's a slight little 100-pound, sweet little thing. She's not out to hurt anybody. She's just very, she'll be critical of a company, but she doesn't go after people. And Sessa just turned around and went right after her. And she did a video later saying, "I have no idea where this came from." And seeing the response, I mean, I saw this in the quartering. I saw it a couple of places. It was way out of character. I mean, not even out of character. It probably is in character, but it was way out of bounds. There was no reason for him to do that. And see, what's his name? Drunk 3PO and a bunch of people basically clowned on him because he was being an asshole. So
good.
It just proves that it wasn't just Frosk that was the issue there.
I
Apparently,
mean,
a lot of people
clapping like a seal when she was doing the speech.
Yeah. So apparently a lot of people were part of the downfall. And I guess he kind of proved that by saying, it wasn't just one person. No, you're right. It was you and her and a couple other people who were the assholes in this situation. So
one thing that's sort of nice is that everyone always seems to stick up for Gerard, the completionist. Like, they're like, everyone involved in this show sucks. Well, okay, Gerard's pretty cool. Like, that seems to be the theme with all the criticisms. It's like, okay, we like Gerard, but the rest of you can go fuck yourselves.
Yeah. And he was there when this was all going down. He was sitting there on the couch next to her. And I don't remember what his response was, but I don't remember him being very enthusiastic about it. He didn't stand out. He might have clapped just to show support.
He clapped along, but
yeah. So, we have more people in chat. Hate Camel, hello. Spud Gun and Assassin of the Gray has joined us. Welcome everybody. So G4 is no more. G4 is shut down. So
and there was much rejoicing.
I haven't gone out to the YouTube or Twitter to see if they have a last show or if the last show is already gone, but it's been officially killed. So I love the original G4. This is just another get woke, go broke kind of deal that we were talking about before the show started.
I never saw G4 back when it was big. When Frost did her rant, I then watched a bit of it on YouTube. And
who couldn't? It was everywhere. It was spammed everywhere.
Yeah.
No, but I mean the actual show. I watched clips from the old G4 show when Frost did her rant, and I was like, okay, this is. I mean, I probably would have liked it if I was watching it when I was 20. Not so much now.
It doesn't have the impact now that it had back then.
Right. But no, I can see why people liked it. And then, for those who did enjoy it, it must be sad to see the sort of the shambling corpse forcefully tried to be resurrected and shoved into the limelight.
I was a big fan back then. And not just of just a couple of people, but I liked everybody on this show. They had an overweight guy on the show that would do techie stuff. And I like that probably more than everything else in the show. And I mean, I liked Olivia Munn. She was funny, she's pretty, all that kind of stuff. But there was another girl that came after her that I liked even better. I can't remember her name off the top of my head. And then there was Sarah Underwood.
Jane Underwood one?
Well, no, Sarah Underwood did the feed. That was a separate part of the show. But Adam Piera and Olivia
Candice Bailey? Is that the one?
Yeah, Candice Bailey, right. I couldn't think of the name. But yeah, Kevin Piera was the host of the show overall. And he had Olivia as his co-host. And then Olivia left and Candice came on. So they were the two hosts. The Asian guy who did the techie stuff and Sarah Underwood were specialists in their own little segments. That's kind of how it was set up. And there was another person too, Morgan Webb, or was she on X-Play? I can't remember.
I have no idea.
But there was a couple other people who did specialty stuff. Like there was a girl who used to go to all the cons, like Quake back in the day, QuakeCon, and all that kind of stuff. And she would report live, so they had like a roving reporter that would do live stuff too. She was fun to watch. So I enjoyed it. It was part of my youth, when I was young, and I enjoyed the show a lot. And the show that they brought back was not. It was not the same. It was not the same show. It was the old show was irreverent and snarky and witty and silly, and the new show was formulaic and typical and unimaginative. So
but there's also no demand for it. Like if you want video game reviews, there's like a million YouTubers you can watch, and you're gonna know them like and their tastes, so you can know how relevant their recommendations are. Like if I watch, just picking a name out of a hat, Angry Joe, who I don't actually watch, but if I watch an Angry Joe review, I know what Angry Joe likes. So if he says this game is awesome, I actually like that too. Yeah. If he thinks this is a good example of that genre, I'll check it out. Whereas if it's G4, then it's written by committee, and like there's no
personality.
That's it. Yeah.
Yeah. Keeverdam says, what did Olivia Munn do? Is she a model or something? Olivia Munn was the co-host. And she's a pretty girl, long brown hair, very attractive.
Mouthful of hot dogs.
Not shy about doing stuff that was kind of risque. So she was kind of fun. Very pretty.
Yeah.
If you ever seen the movie X-Men Apocalypse, she plays Psylocke in that movie. With an outstanding outfit on. And she was dating Aaron Rodgers for a long time. There were some pictures published of her on the internet where she's in not much clothing. And there was some interesting things that she was saying to Aaron about their relationship.
But the thing I liked about Olivia was, like, despite what Frosk may have said in her rant, Olivia knew she was there to be nice on the ice for people.
Sure.
Like, she understood that was her job, was to be hot.
Well, part of her job.
And like also to know video games, but first and foremost, she was eye candy and she knew it. And I respected that she accepted that. She was like, she embraced it. It's like, this is, what I'm here for.
Yeah. I mean, it wasn't solely what she was there for, but she knew that she had that part to play. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And she wasn't shy or anything about playing it. She actually kind of liked doing it, at least from our perspective, it looks like she was having a good time. She was taking it all in stride and, all right, I'm the chick, I got boobs. All right, look, they're boobs. Okay, everybody, now you're happy. Okay, let's move on to the news. She was that kind of plain,
yeah.
She wasn't pretentious at all. It's very straightforward.
Right.
So, but yeah, it was, I mean, like I said, I grew up watching G4 and specifically, well, not so much X-Play, but yeah, I mean, I grew up watching the shows and I enjoyed them a lot. So when they brought it back, I was excited. I heard the news and I thought, oh, maybe we'll get to see the people as they are now. I was excited to see Candice and Olivia and Kevin and all that kind of stuff. And then I found out, well, it's only going to be Kevin. I was like, uh-oh. That means they offered it to these other people and they all turned it down. What do they know that I don't?
Yeah. Well, they were smart. stay away.
Yeah, what was the name of the show? Not X-Play, but what was the show there? G4 was the network, but that wasn't the name of the show. Damn it. It's going to bug me now. I'm going to have to look up on Google.
Someone in chat will know. What was the name of the show, chat?
Yeah, let them tell us.
And apparently Olivia Munn is from Oklahoma City. So Hate Camel is claiming ownership.
Raymond Lewis has joined us in chat. Welcome. Let's see. Assassin says this is an age when women were still allowed to be feminine and happy before the dark times, before the fourth wave of feminism. You're probably right.
People in chat are saying Attack of the Show.
Yeah, Attack of the Show. That's it. That's it. Oh, Addie's in chat. Hello, Addie. Yeah, Attack of the Show. And it was kind of segmented too. I don't think the new version actually showed the segmented, because they started off every show with a bunch of jokes and that kind of stuff. Then they went to Around the Net. A good big baritone voice guy would announce the segment. And there was a bunch of segments that they went through, and they usually ended up with the feed with Sarah Underwood at the end. So it was more structured than this one was. This one was just kind of like a combination of X-Play and, it wasn't like the original. It wasn't Attack of the Show only. It was just like a mix of the two. And the funny thing is in an attempt to try to keep people watching, they took the Attack of the Show out and just called it X-Play. They renamed G4 to just X-Play.
Oh, okay.
So you kind of knew the problems were coming. Anyway.
Also, we have a request from chat. Jen?
I'm sorry, I walked away for a second, and then, of course, naturally, somebody was asking a question. Let me just check.
No, Spud Gun.
Oh, hi, Spud Gun.
Spud's just flirting with you, that's all.
Oh, that's okay. I got a little bit distracted, which always happens, because you know what happens, Hammer, is I will share out the stream, and Twitter is a train wreck. It just is. So I get distracted. And to be fair, I did spend a few minutes calling out a lady. After I'm done telling you about what I said, so we can move on with the real topic, it's just because I'm proud of myself. When you call someone out for being stupid. So the guy I'm cheering for up here is Pierre Poilievre. I know he's got the most ridiculously French name, and I hate calling it out because I mess it up every goddamn time, and I can't spell Pierre right because for some reason I keep doing the PI backwards. But regardless, they're calling him out because he doesn't want to throw more money into our dental plan. And so they're like, oh, he doesn't care about the poor because his family gets free dental plan. And I'm like, everybody gets dental plan. Homeless people, believe it or not, I mean, they don't use it, but homeless people, believe it or not, get dental plan. They get a little card from the government that's like, yeah, they just don't use it because they're homeless. It's almost like they lose shit and stuff.
They get dental plan.
The thing is, I had to point out to this lady that no, actually, we can afford our own shit a little bit better. But the thing is Lucy, who is very much a liberal bot. Lucy is very much a liberal bot. But here's the thing: Lucy still has a lot of a following because she might be a bot, but liberals will still follow a bot. But liberal Lucy is totally okay with mansplaining, as long as it's from Big Daddy Justin Trudeau, the guy who admitted that, he has a learning disability, which means he can't do easy math. He can't do 3 + 3 and come up with 6. He gets confused. So she's going to let Big Daddy, who can't do math, help her pay for her kid's dental plan because she couldn't make one better for herself. But she's a big, single, strong woman, right?
America doesn't have a national dental plan. We don't even have national medicine.
So it is provincial. It is provincial, but we all kind of pay into it. I think some of it does go into federal, but that's more to do with the fact that, like, say you were from BC and you had an accident in Ontario, you're still going to get help from the Ontario government. It's just the Ontario government's going to charge BC for it, or vice versa. but we all pay into the system. So, you know, you do get something, whether or not the service is good or not, whether or not you're going to get it on time for what you actually need. That's always been up in question. You know, like if you needed an important surgery for something, sometimes you are better off going to the US because you might need that right now, you know, because you could be waiting for 2 years when you kind of need it right now.
That's the advantage. I remember Ben Shapiro's big thing about medical care. He used to say that you had you can only get 2 out of 3 options. You can either get it right now, get it cheap, or what was
give it to everyone.
Or available to everyone. So nobody has really all 3 because America is not cheap and yours is not fast. You know, so I mean, there's always one part that you can't get all 3.
It's like an old engineering proverb where they say, cheap, fast, and good. You can only have 2.
Yeah. So I mean, you look at America as far as our teeth are concerned, and especially if you look in Hollywood, you know, everyone's got beautiful teeth here. It costs us an arm and a leg to do it, but we all have it. So, you know, you look over in UK, national health care, they need work on their teeth. They really do. So
yeah, Spudgun's saying it in chat as well. Fast, cheap, good. Pick 2.
Yeah, you can only pick 2. I think America could get to the place if they really wanted to. I don't know what would be the impetus, but I think America could get into the position of having all 3. Maybe not the cheapest or the fastest or the most available, but a fairly good balance of all 3. We could get there if we would just stop with the insurance companies. That's our big faux pas, our big fatal flaw, not faux pas, fatal flaw, is that everything goes through insurance companies. And I understand that's kind of how it has to be for now, but you know, it's really not a good solution because it makes, if Jen, if you had to get an X-ray, you can go to your radiologist and say, I need an X-ray, you know, of this part of my body. How much is it going to cost? And he can say, well, we'll charge you this much. But if you were to go to a radiologist in the United States and say, I need an X-ray of my chest in this part, how much it's going to cost? He'd have to say, I can't tell you that. I have to talk to your insurance company first. And they will charge you. I will charge them whatever I think is appropriate, and they will pay whatever they think is appropriate. And then you will have to pay, you know, eventually for your insurance coverage for whatever's appropriate. And that's what makes it such a bad deal for American medical care. I mean, we are a leader in medical care. If you, how do I say no? That worked. Medical care. Yeah. Where was I at? I was at medical care. What was I talking about? The person who called me was very important, so that kind of distracted me. But I can't remember my train of thought now. I was on medical care about X-rays.
Well, you're talking about insurance companies.
Yeah, insurance companies and X-rays and that kind of stuff. And I think that's the fatal flaw is where I think I was at about Americans. You know, we're the leader in medical care. You can, you know, if you have a problem with cancer, you don't go to Botswana. You know, you have medical care that you need now for cancer, you come to the United States. If you have problems with eyes, Wills Eye Hospital is a leader on the planet in the United States, you know. So if you need something now and you need the best, as long as you could pay for it, USA is where you want to go. Not many people go to other countries. You don't really go to, I don't know, Ireland for the best heart care. You know, everybody comes here. So
okay, so Johnny in chat is saying cost starts with the provider, not with the insurance company. So,
well, the insurance company is only going to pay X amount. So the provider can say, I'm going to charge you $50, and we'll turn to the insurance company and say, I'm going to charge you $50. And the insurance company says, oh, no, you're not. According to what you're trying to do, the industry standard is $40. That's what happens a lot here. So the provider just can't name a number, and the insurance company is required to pay that number. It's always a certain amount of back and forth about what they'll pay and what they won't pay. There's a drug that I'm taking that I was just assigned called metronidazole, or the common name is Flagyl. It's for a bad stomach, which I have a bad everything, so it's not surprised I have a bad stomach too. But there are two drugs. Metronidazole is one of them, or Flagyl. There's another one called Rifixaman. It basically does the same thing, but insurance companies won't cover it.
Oh, okay.
But they'll cover metronidazole just fine. So that's why I got this and not Rifixaman, although Rifixaman's a little bit better. So because my insurance company won't cover it, it would have to come out of pocket for me, and it's extremely expensive. Metronidazole costs my insurance company $110 per bottle. Rifixaman's $1,000 per bottle. I would have to pay that out of pocket. So there's always a certain amount of, well, what are you going to pay for? We'll pay for this, but not for that. Then it's, oh, how much will you pay? Well, we'll charge back this much. And it gets to be that's the problem with Americans' healthcare. That right there is the crux of the problem. If they could fix that, prices would drop. Always happens during the show. Why do I always get all this stuff during the show? Anyway, so yeah, but you're right though. You're right. There it does start with the provider trying to get the money that they want for the process they're going to do. And what you find is they'll usually work with your insurance company to figure out a way to get a good number. But you'll never be involved. It'll all go through insurance and the provider. You won't be all you'll know is that your insurance premiums will go up. That's the part that you find out later.
Yeah.
So, I mean, how is it in Australia? You have, is it state or federal care there?
No, it's federal. It's like Medicare. I'm pretty sure it's across the entire country. Everyone gets Medicare.
Keeverdam says in chat, our life expectancy could be higher too. And the funny thing is, 2022 is the first year where life expectancy went down instead of up. But they're saying it's because of the pandemic. I don't know. We're seeing a lot of people dying that aren't involved in COVID. I think we covered that last week, where there's a lot more unjustified deaths than there should be. And it just started this year. John Campbell did a whole video. Actually, he's done a couple of videos on it, where there's supposed to be, I'm just going to throw some numbers out, but there's supposed to be 60,000 deaths a year, and we're at like 78 right now for no apparent reason. So there's that going on in the medical community too. But
I mean, I'm sure part of it is the whole sort of affirmative action where, okay, you're not actually fit to be a doctor, but you are black. So congratulations, you're a doctor.
Yeah. Got to wonder how outcomes are being added to our vital areas, opportunity of outcome. So you end up getting pilots who are not qualified as other pilots, doctors who are not qualified as other doctors because they were given breaks even though they didn't quite measure up,
Right.
But I ran into that woke culture even with my provider, my medical provider. I have a doctor. He's a really, really great PCP. I know that's an acronym.
Personal care provider.
Provider or something along that lines. Yeah, something like that. He's a really great guy. He's in his late 30s, early 40s, meticulously dressed. And I have a suspicion that he's gay, although I don't really know that for a fact. I don't know if he's married or anything.
Could you change your name to El Hamero and then claim that you're Latinx?
Latinx. And he's a great guy. I really enjoy him. He's a funny guy, and he's really good at his job. But he's got so many patients that he can't always schedule a time with me. He has a couple of people who work as his backups when he's not available. And one of them I went in to see. And I'm just being, my stupid self. How you doing? This woman's like, blah, 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 blah. You got these kind of problems. And I'm like, I'm still taking warfarin. How long is that going to last? And she says, he says, it's probably going to be a lifetime deal. You're probably never going to come off it. And I said, well, that doesn't make any sense. My cardiologist said that, I was going to take it for a significant period of time. And she was like, well, I don't know what the cardiologist said, but anybody I've seen who's been on warfarin at your age stays on warfarin for the rest of their life. And I was really upset because warfarin's it's a blood thinner and it can be dangerous, so it has side effects. So I scheduled a time later on for another checkup with my PCP, my primary care physician. And he said, "You're still on warfarin?" And I was like, "Yeah." I said, "Your backup told me I would never get off of it." And he's like, "I think you better talk to your cardiologist to see what's what." He says, "I'm going to go ahead and make you an appointment." So a week later, I go to see my cardiologist. And he says, "You're on warfarin? Why?" I was like, "Well, I never got off. I just kept getting refills." And he says, "You were only supposed to be on that for 3 months." He says, "You've been on it for almost a year."
Jeez.
I know. And the girl who told me I would be on it for life was not, how do I put this? I don't want to defame anybody and owe $1 billion. So I got to be careful how I say this. I don't want to be an Alex Jones here, but she didn't particularly like working with me. White guy, older white guy kind of deal. She wasn't white. She was young. Yeah. And she didn't really, I don't really think she liked the fact that I was who I was.
How dare you be white?
She was pretty rude with me. And I tried to be, I came into it like I would with anybody else. I've never had a problem ever with anybody that I've seen in my provider. And I've seen a lot of people because I've been in the hospital many times. I've had all kinds of problems with all kinds of doctors. Never had a problem with female doctors of different ethnicities. No issues. Just this one girl. So, I mean, my podiatrist is I don't know, 45, 50-year-old North Vietnamese, or not North Vietnamese, is she Korean or Vietnamese? She's either Korean or Vietnamese, and she's awesome. She's the one who saved my foot, and she has no social skills at all. And it's such a joy. I know it's such a joy to meet somebody who has no social skills. She's a fantastic doctor, like top doctor, like best in her field kind of deal. But she doesn't do the whole, "How you doing today, Mr. Hammer? How have you been? How's your mom? How are things going? Da-da-da-da-da. Have a seat here. Let's talk about." No, that's not her. She'll walk in and say, "Hey, it's you." That's how she greets me, And I'll say, "Hi, Doc." And she's like, "Okay." And she'll start working on me, not say a word. "When was the last time you were in?" "This day." "Okay. All right, you're all good." And walks out of the room. Not "Have a nice day." Not "It was good talking to you again." None of that. Just, "We'll see you in 3 months. Bye." Out the door. It's wonderful. I don't know why it tickles me so much and makes me so happy. But just that level of just, you're just getting the information you need and nothing else. It's just, the efficiency of it just makes me smile every time. Of all the people I go see, and I see a lot of doctors, I look forward to seeing her. She doesn't have much to do because my feet have been stable for a while. She just checks me over and does some maintenance kind of things, cleaning and stuff, things that I can't do at home. She'll pull out a scalpel and, cut off old dead skins, because having an amputation, you get that kind of thing happening on a regular basis. So she does have a little bit of work to do, but I'm not in any trouble. My feet are just fine. But she's fantastic. I enjoy going to see my podiatrist. Best day is just going to see her. So, but again, it's anytime there's a payment, it's got to be, I can't stay with her longer than an hour. If I go in there for work, it has to be within an hour because my insurance company won't cover it if I stay over an hour. So I gotta
Jesus.
leave. I know. And the great thing is I don't have anything to do. Like if I'm in the hospital and my foot's cut and it's bleeding, all that kind of stuff, different story. But just on a maintenance, they won't pay for more than an hour. I got special shoes because of my amputation so I can walk properly. They paid for the shoes and they'll pay for alterations, but they won't pay for a second set of shoes. American health insurance. Anyway. Well,
and I think Spud Gun has taken a shine to your podiatrist.
Yeah, she's awesome. I'm not sure if I should say her name because I guess you could probably track me back if I tell you her name. But
I would just keep it private.
Yeah, but she's her first name is Lucia. But she doesn't advertise that, so you couldn't track me through that. But she's she's I don't know why that is. Why somebody just has no social skills, but I enjoy that so much. I just can't why would anybody like somebody who's on borderline rude? You know, but there's not a
maybe just because it's a novelty. Like everyone else tries to like fit into societal demands, and she's like, "Hey, you know, your feet are fine. Go away."
Yeah, that's very much her. That's very much her. I don't know. It's not like I don't appreciate all that other stuff, you know? Like I go see another doctor and they're all nice to me and all that kind of stuff. I'm happy too, but I guess it is a novelty. She's just different. But Assassin's yelling at me. No names.
And KVDM says, no springs.
Yeah. So anyway, enough about me. We have Wisconsin's primary race to discuss if you want. And we also have the November race in general. I don't know if you guys want to talk politics. We still got half an hour to go.
I mean, I don't know if it's something we want to discuss, but did you hear about Kanye basically saying that blacks are Jews? And
well, obviously blacks can be Jews. You can be Jewish and black. What did he say?
No. He's saying that black. I don't have the exact wording in front of me, but it's something like, I can't be anti-Semitic because blacks are Jews. Like he's saying that all black people are Jews, and there's black Jews and Hollywood Jews, and like they don't like each other. He went into this whole weird thing.
Oh,
he's getting.
Is that where they're calling him anti-Semitic? Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, if you listen to Ben Shapiro, who is the prominent Jew online for me, and if you don't listen to Whoopi Goldberg, Jews have their own race, but their race is a race of many races. I'm not sure how that all works, because there are certainly black Jews and white Jews and
well, I think a lot of it is because there's like the race and the religion, and like obviously there's overlap, but like you can be ethnically Jewish without being religiously Jewish, and vice versa.
Yeah.
Like I could convert to Judaism if I wanted to. That wouldn't make me ethnically Jewish.
Right. And there are like his wife, the doctor, is very dark skinned and she's Jewish.
Yes.
So, and he's much lighter, although not many people are as white as I am, but you know, not knowing who Ben is, if you didn't see the yarmulke, I have to say I can't say yarmulke, I have to say yarmulke on his head.
Yeah. Just say Jubini.
Jubini. Well, that's a blonde and matte and blonde thing. They were reading the super chat and she called it a yarmulke because that's how it's spelled. It's spelled Y-A-R-M-U-L-K or M-U-L-K-E, whatever. And she didn't know that was a yarmulke. She said yarmulke, and people gave her shit for like 3 or 4 episodes about it. But yeah, if he wasn't wearing his yarmulke, you may not know. How you know?
Right.
There's no way to tell what somebody's religion is just by looking at them. I mean, you can make a guess, but you couldn't look at me and say I'm Catholic. I could be Baptist or Methodist or anything, or Jew or whatever.
Right.
You know, I could be Buddhist. You know, there's no way to tell. But I guess Kanye hasn't gotten that. He hasn't gotten that memo yet.
No. I don't know all the details. I just sort of I saw a bit of a kerfuffle on Twitter about it, and like Ben Shapiro came out and said that Kanye is well, what he said was anti-Semitic, but that doesn't necessarily make Kanye anti-Semitic, because
It could just be
you don't have to
stupid.
be. Yeah, he might have just said something stupid. He might not actually have anti-Semitic beliefs, but what he said in Ben Shapiro's mind absolutely is anti-Semitic.
Well, you also have to keep in mind that Ben's looking for anything that could be anti-Semitic. So if
Yeah,
you get close, that'll be enough for him to say definitely yes.
because
He's a little skewed when it comes to that.
Because Candace Owens was defending Kanye, and like Candace is part of the Daily Wire now, so
Right.
a lot of people were asking Ben, well, what do you think about Candace defending Kanye? And he's like, well,
She can do what she wants. Yeah.
she's allowed to do what she wants. It's
Sure.
you know, it's part of the. It's a feature, not a bug, that Daily Wire members disagree with each other. That's supposed to happen.
Yeah. Green Badger made me laugh. He says, "Wait, Ben's wife was a doctor? You think he would have mentioned that?"
I think he did mention it once, but yeah, you had to be paying attention.
That's an ongoing thing with Ben for people who don't know. Just about any time Ben speaks, somewhere along the line, he'll mention that his wife is a doctor. So,
well, the usual reason he brings it up is when he's talking about like universal healthcare, like government funded, like Medicare programs, and he brings up that his wife is a doctor is because he's saying, well, why should she be forced to give her labor?
Right.
Like why are you okay with forcing my wife to work? And you know that's not quite slavery, but it's getting there, kind of thing.
Keyredan makes an interesting point. She says, if you're wearing a hijab, ellipses, in other words, we can kind of tell what religion you are if you're wearing a hijab. I don't know if you can tell whether they're Sunni or Shiite, whether they're wearing a hijab. But hijab is a head covering, a headscarf. There are other places that wear headscarves that are not. I mean, maybe you can make a 1 + 1 + 1 + 1 to get there, but my mother was Polish, and my mother wore a babushka, which looks just like a headscarf, and she's Roman Catholic. So, I mean, now generally,
I just like the word babushka.
well, that's the actual term for it. But typically, babushkas are not black, so maybe that would be a mitigating factor. They're usually red or blue or multicolored, paisley, that kind of stuff. So yeah, there is that. Yeah, I mean, besides clothing, how can you really tell what somebody is you can't tell by skin color? You know, you might say like somebody who's got very dark black hair and a very large black beard and has darker skin. You could say, oh, maybe, you know, maybe this, maybe that. But you could be completely wrong. There's plenty of people in America who look like that, who are, you know, Presbyterian.
Easy metric. If they're hijacking a plane, just assume they're Muslim.
Oh man. I disavow that. Yeah, Camel makes a good point. I don't really care about Ben's wife. His sister, on the other hand, have you seen Ben's sister?
Yes.
Holy
yeah,
mackerel.
I hear she's supposed to be really attractive. But you
She's
know what? He needs to hide her better because, you know.
She is very attractive and very well built too, by the way. I think that's the reason why a lot of guys notice her. She is pretty. So that's,
you know,
that's true. But
I wouldn't be surprised if she's a gun enthusiast too, though.
Well, I mean, she's married to some dude, so I mean, I don't think Ben's too concerned about creeps on the internet leering at his sister, because she can just ignore them.
I could see her being the snappy type to be like, listen, if a dude starts creeping on me, I will just go out and buy myself a gun. Keep snapping on me and I'll just shoot you.
Well, I believe Ben's got a gun, doesn't he?
Yeah.
I think so, yeah.
So he's
like
not
you know, like I don't think he's a big pro, like I got the gun dude, but I think he likes them. Was my impression.
What's
I don't know.
What's Ben's sister's name? It's like Mara or something like that?
No, Moore is his wife. Abigail is his sister.
Abigail. Let me see if I can find a picture of her. ABAGL Shapiro. So she didn't take her husband's name when she got married? Man, she's pretty.
She's known as Abby Shapiro. I mean, she probably did legally take his name, but professionally she still goes by Shapiro, I think. And Johnny Hellcat says she's meh. I don't know. I think she's above average, but I do think people go a bit overboard in like proclaiming her to be like this great beauty. She's cute, but I wouldn't. I do think
well, I said she
people
was,
kind of go.
I said she was
go
pretty.
a bit overboard. No, I don't mean you. I mean like the internet as a whole. Like
yeah.
people act as if she's like this supermodel. No.
I think Brett Cooper looks more like Ben Shapiro's sister anyway.
Mm-hmm. And Kevin is pointing out that the actress Mara Wilson is in fact Ben Shapiro's cousin, and that is true.
Oh, I don't know Mara Wilson.
Well, as Kevin has pointed out in chat, she's the one who played Matilda in the movie. The Roald Dahl book Matilda. They made a movie with the Rhea Perlman and I think it was Danny DeVito in it, and yeah, Mara Wilson played Matilda.
Well, I put a link to Abigail in chat. I'm going to put a link to
that's a
copy image link. I'm going to put a link to another girl. That's Brett Cooper.
Okay.
Now, which one looks more like Ben?
Well, I mean, one of the things the left likes to point out is that Abby looks like Ben in a wig. Like that they'll say that the people who lust after Abby Shapiro only like her because she's Ben with long hair and big tits.
Mara Wilson's a big lefty. That must kill it.
She is. Oh, she's crazy.
Wilson. Why does that name ring a bell? I don't know who she is. I've never seen a picture of her. I didn't even know. I don't know, but
quit slandering my Jewish queen.
I got a kind of a crush on Brett Cooper. I think she's cute. But
I don't know who she is.
Is she part of the Daily Wire too? I'm not sure if she's part of the Daily Wire. I think she is, but she does the comment sections with Brett Cooper. That's a YouTube channel.
Oh, okay.
But I think she's part of Daily Wire as well. Because the comment section is an ongoing thing for their show, and somebody else was doing it, and now she's doing it. I don't remember who did it before her, but anyway. Well, I've run out of topics.
Yeah. Nurse Hotfox says she does not have big tits. They're enormous.
Yeah, there's really not a lot going on up here other than Emergency Act and like basically COVID overreactions, because apparently I don't know what it's like for you at this time of year. I kind of assume it's summer for you, Terry, but up here it's cold season. So everyone's like, oh, you got to wear the mask. You got to wear the mask. You got to get the like 10 other COVID shots. Brr, 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 brr. I just want to bury myself in a hole so I can get away from people. I admire you, Terry. Don't leave your house. You'll have to interact with stupid people.
Oh, man. Well, I guess we can talk a little bit of politics before we get out of here.
Just stop the time until Gunsky arrives.
Yeah, so he can shut the show down. Well, the Dems think that abortion is the key to the election. But I have a graphic from Philly D. I know, don't hate me. That puts the abortion as the 8th most important thing to Americans. And the Democrats are trying to make it as the most important thing. But out of 100, only 56 people believe that it's something that's important enough to sway the election. Do you know what the first one is? You got to get the first
inflation?
one. The economy. Yeah, the economy is the first one. You want to guess the second one? You can get in on this, Jen, if you want.
Or what?
So you can get in on this if you want. What do you think is the second most important? The second most important thing for the voters coming up in November. The first one being the economy. That's what everybody's worried about. What do you think would be the second one?
So the first thing I'm going to give your voters advice on is something that I remember Monkey telling me. And it's actually pretty good advice. It does actually apply to me. I don't know if it applies to Terry because his system's still a little bit different, but I wouldn't be surprised if low-key it does. But look into who the little people are who you are voting for. Because a lot of those little people, A, aren't doing their job, period. B, have ties to a lot of people that have absolutely no interest in you, your country, your neighbors, your interests, or anything to do with you. So you're wasting your money on both of those people. Second, don't get fanatical about it. Take time to touch the grass. You don't become a crazy person who's just wired up on it all the time. But take that time to take those breaks because you need to actually be able to pay attention to when you are. Because there's so much stuff right now that's distracting that you're gonna make a quick decision at the last moment because you're like, shit, I don't know what's really going on.
Assassin has the same guess that I would have had. He says crime for number 2.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, I would focus on that, especially if you were from New York.
Yeah, crime is number 3.
Okay.
But you're close. Number 2 is gun policy.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Fair
and
enough.
Then from there, it's healthcare, voting policies, education, Supreme Court, abortion, number 8. And after that, energy, immigration, foreign policy, and climate change at the bottom.
Well, climate change is super important.
Only 40 out of 100 people listed it as important. And the economy was 77.
One of them, Greta Thunberg.
Did you see that tweet going around of Greta?
No.
There's a meme tweet. It shows Greta when she was on stage at the World Council, where she's all pissed and everything like that. She got that scrunchy face. How dare you? Right?
Yeah.
Then the next panel over to the right shows a girl facing away from you, bent over with pigtails. And then the third panel shows Greta smiling.
Oh, okay.
Made me laugh. Now, I know Greta's 19.
Yes. Something like that. I don't know the exact
so
age.
It wasn't, anything too lurid for her age, even though the meme pictures were from when she was younger. But, you know, they're just using the only pictures available of her. And they just happen to be of her went back in the day.
Yeah.
But she's 19 now, so we can make fun of her. She's not a little
Absolutely.
kid anymore.
But Johnny wanted me to bring up one of the tweets I made. So someone was pointing out that every time a new Street Fighter game comes out, people say the old one was better. And so because Street Fighter 6 is coming out in a few months, I said, I can honestly say that I've had more fun with Street Fighter 5 than Street Fighter 6. And I mean, I haven't played Street Fighter 6. It's like it's not out yet. And people were like,
probably why.
Shit. It's like people were like quote tweeting me saying, we've got one here already. And you're like, just saying people are already complaining that 5 is better than 6. It's like, it's not out yet. How are you all missing this?
I think people just want to complain. I think that's more of woke culture. Again,
but it was so funny because like the first reply was just the one word was how, and I said, I haven't played Street Fighter 6. And he goes, okay, and that was the entire interaction. And it was just how, okay.
Oh, Mash is in chat. Hello, Mash. And Nurse Hotbox. Is that a sexual term?
I assume so.
Sounds dirty to me.
It does.
And Green Badger in chat. I'm sorry, I wasn't paying attention to chat too much. Welcome, everybody.
Yeah, no, Johnny wanted me to bring that up, so there you go. it made me laugh, and it seems like it made Johnny laugh quite a bit
Well, I
too.
mean, people have been anticipating failure in the movie industry for a long time, in television too. People knew that She-Hulk was going to be shit before it came out,
Oh God,
and
yeah.
we also know that the Little Mermaid's going to be shit before it comes out. So I mean,
from what I've seen, Street Fighter 6 is going to be very good. It's just that I deliberately worded it the way I did because I've had more fun with 5 than 6 because I haven't played 6. It's not...
Well, I went back and looked and watched Lightyear. I did a one paragraph review on it, and there was a lot of brouhaha about it being a children's cartoon, and there was a lesbian kiss, and it was all the rage. Oh, this movie's awful. Got a lesbian kiss. Oh, it's awful. But after watching the movie, it really wasn't that big of a deal. And I'm a person who's fairly sensitive to woke culture, but it was very not center stage when they did it. It wasn't like, hey, everybody, look, I'm kissing another woman. See, I'm doing. It wasn't anything like that. It was just a casual and away. It was just, skipped right over like it was no big deal. So I don't think most kids would even catch it,
Right.
Or it even impact them. I don't think anyone at that age just don't have the cognitive ability to pick up every little nuance like that.
Well, I mean, that's why stuff like Animaniacs is so good to go back to as an adult, and you can see all the jokes that went over your head when you were a kid.
Yeah. It was definitely a thing I think it would be over the heads of almost every kid who watched it. Even I had to roll it back and say, was that just a kiss? Was that the one they were talking about? And I had to roll it back and yeah, that's the one. So I mean, in all honesty, I liked Lightyear. I gave it a good review. I gave it like a 7 or something like that, a 7 or an 8 out of 10. So high marks for me because I usually don't go that high. The movie has to be pretty damn good for me to rate it like that. And I enjoyed it.
He didn't even give a 7 to Young Einstein. That is how high his standards are.
It was an enjoyable movie. It wasn't quite The Incredibles or something like that. It wasn't top tier Pixar, but it was still really good. So for all you people who have been avoiding it because of the lesbian kiss, don't. It was actually a decent movie. So
I'm not avoiding it because of that. I'm just avoiding it because I don't care about it. It's like,
did you see the Toy Story movies?
I saw the first one.
And what did you think of it?
I'm trying to remember how old I was because I think I liked it well enough. It was it was okay. I think it would have been. What year did Toy Story come out? Just roughly.
It was 96 something.
So I would have been 15. Yeah, that makes sense.
Toy.
I would have seen it and thought, yeah, it's okay. That's my sort of memory of it is, yeah, it's all right.
95. I was off by a year.
Okay.
Yeah. November 22, 95. So at the end of 95, early 96. I was only off by a little bit.
I still would have been 15 because that would have been after my birthday.
Right. So I liked all the Toy Story movies. I thought they were all good. Even the one with the kid who was torturing his toys. I thought that was funny. A little weird, but funny. But yeah, the thing is, the Toy Story movies had the Bud Lightyear action figure. The action figure was based on this character. This character is not the action figure. So the story is a little different. But it's still, and it's not his voice. They used Chris Evans, Captain America. He was the voice instead of
I get all the
Tim
Chris's
Allen.
mixed up. Like I know there's a Chris Evans, a Chris Pratt. There's another Chris somewhere.
Yeah.
Like okay, Chris someone.
Yeah. Chris Evans was Captain America. Chris Pratt was Guardians of the Galaxy, and Chris Hemsworth was Thor.
Right.
So there's 3 Chris's. I
knew there was a third Chris in there somewhere.
Yeah, he was. So, but Chris Evans did a good job. I probably would have still have enjoyed hearing Tim Allen's voice, but Chris Evans does have that ability to make his voice sound very much like that, very commanding and that kind of stuff. Because he came and you see how he talks when he's in Captain America, he's very, everyone looks to him for what to do next kind of deal. He's a leader kind of deal. So he has that ability to command. What's that?
I think Buzz Lightyear should have gone, oh, 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 oh. like Tim Allen does in Home Improvement.
Yeah. It broke down. So I rewired it.
More power.
More power. But I did kind of miss his voice. It wasn't so bad because Chris Evans still had a commanding voice, so it wasn't a big deal. But I will like that.
Was Tim Allen excluded because of his politics? Is that
yes? Right. They'll all say that he wasn't because this is a new character. The toy was based on this character, but they were not the same thing. So they wanted to separate out the voices. But the actual reason is they don't like his politics. I don't know. I think they're going to make another Toy Story. Toy Story 5, I think, is coming out. I'm sure that'll be direct to DVD or whatever, direct to streaming.
Can't believe they're already up to 5.
Yeah, it's 4 or 5. Is it?
No. I think you're right because Keith was saying that she's seen all 4. Yeah. But like just the fact that they've made this many is like crazy to me.
Well, I mean, if you look at there's plenty of franchises that go on forever. How many Halloweens are there?
1.
11. There's like 11 of them. Halloween 2, a Halloween the Reaper, a Halloween this, Halloween that's just like, oh my God.
I've only seen the first Halloween.
And I get them all mixed up. I know there's one whole franchise with Freddy Krueger, and it's a whole other franchise with Michael Myers, and I just
I've seen I think
how many Freddy Krueger movies
6?
are there?
I think I've seen 6 of the Nightmare on Elm Street movies and 10 of the Friday the 13th movies. But I've only seen the first Halloween.
And that's just in the horror genre.
Yeah. But I mean, I think it's stupid that they made so many of those movies too.
Yeah. Well, they can make another Star Trek movie. I'm perfectly on board with that. I'm a Star Trek fan.
As far as I'm concerned, Star Trek movies equals Wrath of Khan. That's it. That's the only Star Trek movie I know.
Yeah, that was probably the best one, really. The second one, Wrath of Khan.
That's the only one I know. I mean, I'm sure there's a million others, but if you tell me Star Trek movie, that's the one my brain goes to.
It's probably the best one. That's probably why. It was very smartly written. Of all the Star Trek movies, that one was written I use that word intently, very smartly written, because there's a lot of twists in it. Most Star Trek movies are pretty straightforward.
Chad is yelling at us, so they want us to read Assassin's question, which is, if the lesbian kiss was no big deal to the plot of Lightyear, then why did they put it in the American cut but remove it from foreign cuts?
Well, they always tailor movies differently for the foreign market. I mean, you look at the Star Wars, how they basically removed the black stormtrooper guy from the poster.
Yeah.
They always, just like we were talking about earlier when it comes to McDonald's and the food, we were, beginning before the show. You can get stuff there that I can't get. If you go to Japan, you can get sushi at McDonald's. You can't get that here in the United States. Foreign markets are always going to have their own twist on things. So, but like I said, make up your own mind. Don't go in biased. Just go watch the movie, however you get your hands on it. I'll just leave that up to you, but get your hands on it, watch it, and make up your own mind on it. Don't let other people tell you, don't see it because it's woke. No. Make up your own mind. Look at it yourself. And if you agree with them, then agree with them.
No. If it was a movie that I was interested in, I would go see it. I wouldn't let that stop me. But it's really not.
The only reason I watched it really was because of the controversy. If it would have come out and didn't have a controversy, I might not even look at it. But I was like, all right, well, they're yelling and screaming. Let me see what all the fuss is about. So I'll watch it. And I figure, well, if I'm going to watch it, I might as well review it.
Assassin says the answer is brainwashing. They're trying to brainwash people with the lesbian kiss thing.
I mean, if you look at old cartoons, you go back in the Disney day of old cartoons, there's plenty of things that go over kids' heads in those cartoons too.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember going back and watching some of the old Popeye TV shows, and there were some things there I thought to myself, there's no reason the camera has to be focused on Olive Oil's ass right now. But it was.
But it's not even like quote unquote adult stuff. I mean, there's a joke in The Simpsons that just flew over my head where they say, they may say she died of a burst left ventricle, but I know she died of a broken heart. Now, at the age of 10, I didn't know what a burst left ventricle was. I didn't get the joke. But as an adult, it's like, oh, that's part of her heart. She literally did die of a broken heart.
Yeah.
Like, okay. Now, see, that's a joke that I did not get at the age of, 12.
And I think a lot of animators and movie makers put those kind of things in on purpose. Things that are just for the adults in the room, just to get them to watch it as well. They're trying to get the entire audience involved. So,
well, they know that the kids are going to only be able to watch what the parents let them. So it's in their best interest for the parents to at least find it tolerable. Like if it's just garbage, they're going to be like, don't watch that. Watch this. Watch something else.
Well,
and if it's at least got some appeal to the adults, they can be like, okay, yeah, we can watch this together.
Going back to Popeye, there's a lot of violence in that cartoon. He was constantly beating up Brutus.
Yeah.
I've had all I can stand, and I can't stand no more. Bang. He's of course you have like the guy Wimpy. I gladly pay you Tuesday for a hamburger today. They all had their little taglines, and they were funny and stuff like that. But if you sit back and look at it with a critical eye and think, did Popeye just punch out Brutus? That's violence. Why would our kids be, and you can get into that whole woke culture by doing that. No, don't worry about that. It's just a cartoon.
But I used to love the way Popeye ate the spinach, where he squeezes the can and it shoots out.
Go. He's like he's drinking a Coke or something like that. He just holds it up and it just flows and flows. Much more spinach comes out of that can that can could possibly fit. It's just it's one of my favorite cartoons when I was young.
Yeah, no, I remember watching Popeye as a kid. It was not my favorite by any means, but no, it was fun.
Assassin says Popeye reacted in self-defense. Popeye didn't do nothing.
Yeah. Good boy can do nothing.
Well, it looks like we're not going to get a Jack here, so I'm willing to go the rest of the night. No, I'm just kidding. We need to get out of here because it's 7 past 10 and I don't want to hold. My stomach, of course, is very, very angry with me, and I'm sure Jen wants to.
Well, no, I've been here in spirit because I've been on Twitter the entire time because I'm like, I don't know.
We're talking about stuff.
I mean, you are talking about stuff, but I'm just like, I don't feel like I'm feeling anything here. Yeah. But Twitter's been raging tonight, and I don't know why. I'm just like, I'm on a kick of making fun of people for saying really stupid shit.
I really have to do a better job setting up the topics for the show to make sure I keep everybody involved. Because all I did was bring up 3 American topics.
You're fine. You're educating people about stuff. And you and Terry, you know what? I talk a lot. Would you believe it? On other streams, people are all like, Jen interrupts all the time. So sometimes it's nice to let other people take over. You guys are good co-hosts.
Well, I don't want to feel...
Hey, stream, give our co-hosts
golf clap.
Being tolerant of Jen for being, I got distracted.
This is turning into Clippers United more and more every day.
Yeah.
So we need his golf claps. Spud wants to be on the show.
No.
He's British. We can bring him on. He's not from America. He's not from Canada. He's not from Australia.
I'm fine with having Spud
He can be on the show.
Yeah.
Well, it's just Twitter. Spud Gun's not wrong. It's just Twitter has this knack for pulling you in at the wrong time. Like I will say repeatedly, Twitter is cancer. It is cancer. 100%.
I don't look at Twitter if I'm streaming because I know I'll get caught up in it.
Mm. But sometimes I notice lately that, I just get caught up in there. And I admit I'm a little bit emotional because right now they are kind of in emergency talk. And that gives me flashbacks to,
something's going on. It's important. What's going on right now is important. So, I don't blame you for being involved.
It's also watching the trial and the amount of flashbacks that I have to that event. And I'm sorry, I did have Blind Girl as my witness on the street. As much as it's an oxymoron that she's blind, I helped her navigate at least once or twice through that crowd. And you cannot tell me that a girl who was in her physical state walking through that, she walked away feeling safer with the protesters than she did with the cops. They pepper sprayed her in the face. So when these guys are just like, oh, well, you know, they were starting fights everywhere. They had fire pits everywhere. I'm like, you mean they had little places where they were cooking food and keeping warm? Yeah, they weren't bonfires.
Did BG look blind from the outside? Did she have a cane and glasses?
She had the cane.
And somebody still sprayed her?
They still sprayed her.
Jesus Christ.
What were they trying to do? Blind a blind person? What the fuck?
She was next to some of the protesters who were trying to, you know, guide her. But, you know, at the same time though, she was talking to the police. She was like, "Hey, you know, you guys are taking this too far," to the police. And yeah, she got sprayed in the face. You know, it's just, she had no regrets, and I had no regrets either, because at the very least I could help keep her from being in more danger than she would have been in. But she wasn't in danger from the truckers. She wasn't in danger from the protesters. She was in danger from the politicians.
So when does Pierre take over?
He would have to be voted in. Like, they still have like 2 years, maybe 2.5 more years to go.
But they already voted him in as a conservative leader, right? He's not running the country yet, though.
No, he's just the party leader. He is basically what Trump was when he was, you know, the Republican leader, you know, before he was elected.
Right.
But they are really coming after him right now. Like, they're trying to go after him for every little petty thing. And to be honest, they're really stupid, because they keep taking their advice from the media. Like, this whole trial, like the Ottawa mayor, his entire testimony of witness or opinion was based off the CBC. Like, I know I said that to you before, you know, in private, but the more I watch that trial and the more people are talking, they had 5 people trying to figure out what was going on, and they're all taking advice from the media. Not a single one of them went down to figure out what was going on. They had police down there giving them advice. They had the National Guard giving them advice on what was going on. They had pre-warning that everything was going to happen. They had pre-warning that it was going to get big. They had pre-warning that it was going to get bigger, because it was a small event. It started off with 500 trucks, and we all just joined in. I don't know if that's what you saw, but that's what I saw. It ended up being a big giant festival. It was a winter festival by the end of it. Well, no, not by the end of it. By the end of it, we were terrorized out of the city. I watched it and I channel a little bit of BG, you know, like she's screaming in the back of my head, "That ain't what happened, you fuckers are lying." So, you know, at best, there's that, but I don't think it's going to go over well for them. Like I said, CBC is not the person I would be taking advice from. I would be taking advice from the many cameras that were on the street that they couldn't block, because they tried blocking them. You know, I kept having moments where drones. For some reason yesterday, I couldn't remember the word drone because it was important to my conversation. But they had drones flying everywhere during that so they could block stream signals. You could see them. You know, you'd be across the town and you could see it from somebody's window, because they, you know, everybody had a camera on the street. You know, it makes it a little bit harder when you have too many people going all over the place. There's just too many witnesses to it.
First thing, governments, when they're trying to suppress the people, the first thing they do is turn the internet off.
Yes. They couldn't do it in time. That's why it got around so much. Like, as much as I joke about it being in other places, but yeah, like even Australia had a little group. I mean, I made fun of your group.
Yeah.
I did. No shade. I love the Australians, but when you guys do stuff, I'm like, did nobody give you the memo on what to do? No, you just made it up as you went along. Okay, well, you know what? I love you guys. You're on our side. You know, and then New Zealand had their own. And to be fair, their lady's just as scary as Trudeau. I don't want to remember her name because she's scary. Like, I feel like if you say her name 3 times, she'll show up behind you in a window mirror with a knife or something. But
so in 2 years, Justin Trudeau could be out.
Yes. I mean, if he were to call an earlier election, which he can do, he might be out sooner. But it really has to do with the timing, because if they can get us to forget all of this stuff, there is another thing that could happen. I'm not sure on this. I really would like one of these days I got to find somebody who's a little bit better on Canadian politics. But if it does turn out that what they did was illegal, I'm not sure if he would have to step down. I'm not sure how that goes. I mean, he might be pressured into that, but then we're stuck with his second in hand, and she's a scary little potato all on her own. Like, and I mean that. Like, I mean a kraut version of a potato. Not the YouTuber, but you know, that kraut. Mustache man. Yeah. Mustache man.
When 2 years rolls around, what are the chances? You think he already survived a no confidence vote once. Do you think he'll run again and win, or?
I really want to know who he's taking advice from, because if it's just from Freeland, I'm not sure who she's taking her advice from. But with them, it's going to be a gaslighting, lie as much as we can, repeat the lie as much as we can, see if it sticks. It doesn't look like it's gonna, but they're going to keep trying for that. And then he's going to see who's going to give him advice next, because I don't doubt. So recently I found out that there were a couple times where during the convoy event, he was having talks with Biden. So there is a good chance that Biden was feeding him ideas on what to do, which is never a good idea, because Biden is a senile old fart who doesn't know where he is most of the time.
I can't imagine Biden having enough mental ability to give him any kind of advice.
That's where I'm at. But, you know, it doesn't mean that he doesn't have people who work with him who wouldn't be like, hey, tell him to do this.
Yeah, that's what's happening right now.
And that's the problem with our government, is they don't even know what they're doing. Like, I'm going to be fair. Canadian politics, it's not just that because I don't even think that it's complicated. It's not. The complication is where it's so fucking boring that you fall asleep when you're trying to remember what you're supposed to be doing. Like, look at our Parliament House, and I'm like, yeah, half of them are asleep. I'm like, I don't blame you. The way you guys present yourself is so boring that I would fall asleep too.
I think watching Pierre go back and forth with Trudeau is a lot more exciting than anything we have in America. I could say that.
Well, he's a little Ben Shapiro when he talks. I like it. Like that's what I enjoy about him. But at the end of the day, I don't doubt that he's going to help us, at least with our economy. Like, I don't necessarily know that he's going to push us to do anything else, but at the very least, he needs to start really working on our economy, because things aren't just going up; they're going to keep going up, and then they're going to stay that way. Because I don't doubt that it's not just our media. I don't doubt that our corporations do have some hands in it, because they've been burying the little guy, absolutely burying the little guy, and I know you guys have that too.
Oh yeah.
Because some of the little guy was willing to be like, yeah, you can get the fuck out of my store without your mask and your, fair enough. But a lot of the little guys were willing to be open. And they absolutely wanted to kick them out. Whereas the big corporations, well, they can get away with that. Because they own a store on every other block.
Right.
Yeah, the economy sucks everywhere. I've actually have been considering selling some land to put some money in my pocket, because all my money is tied up in the land. I could sell a couple acres and get over this hump. I might have to end up doing that.
The amount of seniors that I've heard at work say similar things, but with stocks. Like, people are selling their stocks here, their stocks there, and they're like, I really don't want to do this. Like, these are good stocks. I'd like to keep them in, but if I don't take them out, they're not going to be able to live this year.
Yeah. No, I see that too. Market's down, down, down.
Yep.
And on that wonderful note,
yes,
we should probably get out of here before my stomach gets right through to my backbone.
Yeah. I just had to check that it wasn't Halloween next week. It is on Monday of the week after.
31st, right?
Yeah. We'll be able to say Halloween next week.
All right. Well, may I make a promise to everybody listening that we will try to get our numbers straightened out for the shows.
Yeah.
That's I'm not sure I'll get mixed up, but we'll get everything straight. We'll be back back with the 1800s. I think Johnny can help out with getting 1799 on his show, and then the Friday show with Sanguine can start out at 1802. I think is a number that we should be at that point. I don't know. I've almost given up trying to keep everything straight because we've messed it up a couple of times. I think I messed it up once. I think Sanguine messed it up once. It's for some reason we just can't seem to get the number straight. But we'll be here for you every night. You can count on that. So, all right, let's go ahead and get out of here then. Thanks, fam, as always, for chatting with us tonight. If you can't wait for the next Wednesday show, remember the Minions are live every evening, including weekends, with most shows starting around 11:30 p.m. Eastern, 7 days a week. Hosts and start times are listed in the description down below. Make sure you come out and see Johnny tomorrow. We will be back next Wednesday at 9 p.m. as usual. Hope you enjoyed the show, and we'll see you again next week. Have a great night, everybody.
Hey, guys.